Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank the PCRM for having us and thank all of you for coming out. I also want to say a very big thank you, if you'd please stand, Katie Nash and Ed Kwitowski. Katie is our dietitian, and Ed is our, I guess you're our school chef, and these are really the two people who make it all happen. I get to go last, and that's not always a good thing because everybody else said all the cool stuff. I don't have a lot to say anymore. But something so interesting happened while I was sitting there. Right now, there's probably about 100 folks in the room. About 20 minutes ago, there were 140 people in the room, and they were all eating. And they were all eating the food back there. So somebody was texting and saying, really good food in 2068, come get it because it's awesome. And that's the food that we're serving every day to the kids in DC. And that's really why we're all here, that the food that you've all eaten, and how many people enjoyed their lunch? Please? Right. This is what the kids are getting every day. That's what's important to know. You can have food that's tasty, food that's nutritious, that's not a nugget, that's not a patty, that's not a beef bite mystery meat. So that's really where I want to start, is that a whole lot of people left, and they came and ate the lunch, a vegetarian lunch with no protein, no meat, no cheese. So I'm here to tell you about DC Central Kitchen. And where I want to start before we get into school food, before we get anywhere else, is how many people here have heard of DC Central Kitchen? Show of hands, yes, no. Some have worked here, some have volunteered. DC Central Kitchen is not a soup kitchen. We're an empowerment organization, and we use food as a tool. The tool is to strengthen bodies, empower minds, and build communities. So what we do in our school food program is just part of that overarching goal of really helping people in DC, by using food, improve their lives, whether it's through our culinary job training program, our shelter meals, our healthy corners program, et cetera. So that's where I'm going to start, and away we go. See, we use food as a tool to strengthen bodies, empower minds, and build communities. Again, one of the things we do at the kitchen is we send out over 5,000 meals a day to partner agencies at shelters. And if you look at this, we recover over almost 750,000 pounds of food, and most of that is produce. Most of the produce in this country does not make it to market. It doesn't get to Whole Foods. It doesn't get to Giant. It doesn't get to Safeway. It stays on the field or in distribution facilities and gets put in the garbage. There's many reasons for that. But the kitchen works directly with farmers, directly with distributors, and directly with supermarkets to recover that food so that every day the underserved people in our community get nutritious meals, and they always get a salad and a vegetable component. So that's really important to know. Okay. The core of our program is culinary job training. This is where we take people, ex-offenders coming out of prison, homeless folks, or people coming out of addiction, and we train them in the culinary arts. Now again, with the ethos of us to use fresh produce and to use fresh ingredients, our program is infused with that. So when our graduates go out into the marketplace to get jobs, they know what these vegetables are. They know the value of a plant-based diet. They know the value of fresh and local. Moving right along. Fresh Start Catering is our social enterprise. DC Central Kitchen was formed in 1991 by Robert Egger. In about 2003, we started Fresh Start Catering, which is a way, we're a not-for-profit, by the way. So it's a way that a not-for-profit can generate its own revenue so that we don't have to constantly be asking for money to run our programs. Right now, Fresh Start and all of our revenue-generating programs are generating about $6.5 million a year out of a $13 million budget. So more than half of our revenue comes from us earning our keep, essentially. Healthy Corners is a program that was initiated by the DC, where we're bringing locally sourced fresh fruits, vegetables, and snacks to corner stores. These are stores that normally would be serving ho-hos and ring-dings and all that good stuff. We're coming in, we're bringing in apples, sliced fruit, trail mix, foods that really have nutritional value. And we found that if somebody can buy a banana instead of a ho-ho or buy some cut fruit, we sell tons of cut fruit, it flies off the shelf. So when people say the argument that people won't buy fresh produce or cut fruit, if it's not there, they're going to be right 100% of the time. But if you can provide the access and you can get these corner stores and these people who a large produce company or a large wholesaler won't provide for because their volumes are so large, you will get the results you're looking for. And the healthy corner store in combination with our school food is a beautiful synergy, because Ed and Katie can design menus that will feature a certain fruit or vegetable. We can then go into the corner store, bring that same fruit and vegetable with a recipe card. The kids can see it at the school. It'll say, you know, your kid had it at school now. A mom or a grandmom can actually purchase those ingredients, have a recipe card, and replicate that same food at home. So it's kind of closing that circle. We can't operate in a vacuum where kids are just going to get a certain kind of food at school, and then they go home, and it's the same old, same old. It's got to be completely integrated and have synergies. Okay, this is what we're all here for, is school food. Our first school was in 2008, was the Washington Jesuit Academy. It's a tuition-free school for boys, 75 boys, and we started there. It was scratch cooked, again, and locally sourced. It was a huge success. We never had a lag in participation. It just was an incredible success right then and there. Then DC Public Schools put out an RFP for a scratch-cooked, locally sourced program to serve 8 schools. Now, this is before I was with the organization, and the administration said, it can be so hard. We're doing it at WJA, let's do it at public schools. And I think my other people on the board, on this panel, can tell me that's not the way it works. School food is incredibly Byzantine, it's incredibly complex. We got this RFP and we got slaughtered. I mean, let's be honest. To grow as fast as we did into really an unknown business was very difficult. I think we kind of overreached on our menus at the very beginning, which is what we're talking about, and getting kids to accept it. It's not until we were able to get Ed and Katie in so that we could start education at the schools. We have a number of programs. Well, I'm going too fast. Right now our program is 10 schools. That's 2 private schools, 8 public schools, for about 3,100 students, and we're doing about 6,400 breakfast, lunch, and suppers a day. And as Robert said, how do you say no to that smiling face? It's impossible. The DC Health, one of the things that everybody on the panel has said is partnerships. Without good, solid partnerships, none of this work is going to be possible. You need advocates for you. You need people who are going to be willing to say, yes, we can spend that additional money. In DC, we had Council Member Mary Che and the DC Farm to School Network, and they're the ones who really fought in DC for the Healthy Schools Act and to get additional funding for the additional fruits and vegetables. The bill was passed in 2010. Okay, the DC Healthy Schools Act is one of the most progressive school food acts in the country. It was universal breakfast in the classroom. Farm to school was a huge component in it, healthy activity, education, changing the school environment so that there was nutritional education in the classroom, competitive food, so that was what we were referring to earlier about vending machines and having a appropriate policy so there's not candy and chips being served in the hallways. Okay, now we're getting to lots of bullet points. The school meals right now is they must meet USDA Gold, free breakfast in the classroom. Every single school has to have 30 minutes for lunch. And I think Ed and Katie can attest to that. We had a lot of principals that, due to the increased demands on their test scores, they wanted those additional 5 minutes. They wanted those 10 minutes. And the linkage between a good meal and a rested mind and their tests kind of got lost. So again, it's being at, wow, 1 minute. I thought I was going fast. Okay, I have a little helper up here.
You're okay.
Okay, funding for school meals. So for complying, I guess we'll go back. So for complying with 1, 2, and 3, it's an additional 10 cents for breakfast and 10 cents for lunch. And then for fresh local, you get an additional 5 cents. So we really get an additional 25 cents from the city to do that program. And who's going to pay for it? Farm to school is $70,000, and then DC has their soda tax, a sin tax, if you will. Not syntax, but a sin tax. Come on, a grammar joke. Come on, guys, wake up. It's after lunch. Give me a break. Is it additional? All right. So we got our contract in 2010. Again, with contractual obligation for a healthy component. And how do we get that local food? Number one is a farm partnership with the Shenandoah Valley Auction. We run a truck down there every single week, sometimes twice a week. It's a 500-mile run there and back. It's a Mennonite auction, and it's predominantly from West Virginia, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And as you can see, the beautiful produce that we get. Since we participated in the Shenandoah Valley auction, they've really increased their capacities and almost rebuilt the whole facility based upon knowing that we were going to come down there every week and purchase product. We purchase direct from farms. So there's Muirkirk Farm in UDC. That's just one of the few farms that we partner with. So we can go to a partner and say, we are going to buy 1,000 pounds of collard greens every 2 weeks. Plant it for us. And they'll do that. They'll know that they're going to get a fair price for it and that it's going to get used. You know, a lot of what we're talking about goes far beyond just the school. It goes back to the distributors, and then it goes back to the growers who are kind of out of this whole conversation, because the people who own 20 to 200 acre farms are really getting squeezed out of it, and a lot of times they're just selling it because the land is worth more than they can do it. So a lot of family-based small farms are getting slowly squeezed out by agribusiness and monoculture agriculture. This is just another picture of us at the auction. As you can see, you've got our truck and then the Mennonite horse and buggies, which is a really cool thing. They're great people to deal with. Farm to school, what we do is we bring back our truckloads of produce. As you can see on the, that's your right, my right, we have the bins of product, and then it gets processed at our facility in Northeast, where it then gets vacuum sealed, frozen, and then we can use it throughout the year. So we're keeping that local product going all year round by processing it at our locations. This is awesome. This is something that Katie and Ed really spearheaded. I'm down to 0 minutes. I have to talk really fast. You see these little cups? That's our Fresh Feature Friday. That's where we take a new item, prepare it 3 different ways, and then the students get to vote on which one they like the best. When we've tallied that up, then it appears on the menu the next week, the next month or in 2 months, depending on the cycle. And then it really gets great buy-in because all the kids have experienced that product, and then they have ownership in that. And then we take a lot of these Fresh Feature Friday items and we put it in the corner store to increase that synergies. This is just a quick picture of our menu. We'll do theme meals just to get kids excited. We do the Fresh Feature Friday items, our farm to school meals. Once a year, we do what's called strawberry and salad greens, where we get fresh strawberries, make a kale salad. It's one of the funnest times of the year. And, you know, I was at a school, and there was a little kid who was just like had strawberry all over him, and he's like, I've never had a strawberry before. And it was like he was having a religious experience. It was amazing, and it was really neat. And he was probably 7 or 8 years old. And I would imagine most of us here, by the time we were 7 or 8, had had a strawberry in our life. So you're really seeing not only is it school food, but it's food access. That's, you know, that is so important, especially in bigger cities. We have one local item every single day. So whether it's a fruit, whether it's a protein, we will have a local item every day, which again gets into the processing so that we can continue doing that throughout the winter. Farm to school, we have our truck farm, which is now it's a new paint job. It's not black anymore. Now it's a nice green, where we go to the different schools and we go to health fairs and we go to markets, farmers markets. We actually have an entire garden in the back of the truck, and it's a great educational opportunity so kids can actually see fruits and vegetables in a truck. That was in the Washington Post magazine about 2 years ago. And that's it. So if you have any questions, I'll be sitting down and I can answer any. And Ed and Katie will be here for any questions too. Thank you very much.